up to the podium, and he's gonna say a few words for us.
All right, thank you, Leah. I'm not used to holding microphones, so shout at me if I'm too loud or too quiet. I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. I'm very flattered, actually. This is the most number of people that have come to see me in particular. I've chaired larger events, but that's for the state party. Everyone's here to see me, so thank you very much for your time and your donation to attend tonight. I wanted to thank a couple of people in particular. Also for today, I wanted to thank Joe and Summer for driving Statue of Liberty up and down Woodward Dream Cruise.
Yeah.
It took almost 4 hours to go from 8 Mile to just beyond Birmingham, but that was one of the most popular posts, so I was really happy about that. I want to thank Shelley, my wife in particular. Shell put together the event flyer, or the event mailing, and clearly it was a success because we have quite a bit of people here today. It's been very helpful sharing us stuff on social media. Jeff's been helpful with the newsletter, with mailings. But specifically, thank you to Leah for putting this whole thing together and being my campaign. Without Leah, I just wouldn't send a letter out and I wouldn't have an event. So thank you very much. So most of you people know me, but for those of you who don't, I've been involved with the Libertarian Party of Michigan now since 1996. In fact, this is the 13th time I've been a candidate for public office. I've also been a campaign treasurer for both federal, state, and local office. I've been the state party chair, a precinct delegate, a poll worker, and a petitioner. So there are a lot of aspects of Michigan election law I'm very familiar with. So running for Secretary of State is just a natural fit for me. But why am I running? Well, I have two primary goals for my Secretary of State campaign. The first, I want to use Michigan election law to our advantage. And I want to come in third place, specifically because under Michigan election law, the order that political parties appear on the ballot is based on how well the Secretary of State candidate does. So while, of course, I'd like to win, realistically, I want to come in a solid third place because I want the Libertarian candidate for president in 2024 and our governor candidate in 2026 to be the first person listed on the ballot after the Democrats and Republicans for all those people that are sick of voting for the two-party system. Yeah. So I want to give you an update on that race. This is now a 5-way race. The Democrats and Republicans have now, in fact, held their state conventions. The Republican Party candidate, Christina Caramo, is a Trump-backed supporter of the stolen election conspiracy. So I believe that I can pick up quite a bit of support from disaffected conservatives, which are unhappy with the direction the party's going. My Democratic opponent is Jocelyn Benson, the incumbent. While she's a competent public service, she has done a very bad job of representing third parties. Right now, she only published the list, or the Bureau of Elections published the list of minor party candidates, or the general election candidates, just about 2 weeks ago. However, the Green Party nominated their candidates in April, the Libertarian candidates nominated theirs in July, but she didn't publish them until August. So the Bureau of Elections and the Secretary of State are using state resources to push the two-party system, as expected. But I also have a Green and a U.S. taxpayer candidate, so the number of people voting third party will be spread across the 3 candidates this year. But with a good candidate for governor, Mary Bazuma with the Libertarian Party, and a bunch of other candidates like Claire Gelano running for MSU Board of Trustees, enough Libertarians are running across the state that I'm fairly confident we'll finish a solid third place again. But I do want to remind people that Tuesday is 7 weeks before the election. Things are coming up quick. My second goal, though, is to talk about election reform. This office gives me the unique opportunity to do that, and I will be doing that very shortly with all of you here. But I wanted to give you an update on how the campaign's going. Actually all of you who are here today have donated. So this is how things have been. I've been traveling around the state. I've gone to nearly every Libertarian Party affiliate, including Grand Rapids, Lansing. I even went to the Upper Peninsula for 2 events. I've been distributing yard signs and campaign literature to get that stuff to voters all over the state. We've participated in fairs, including the Ann Arbor Art Fair, the Dale in the Alley, and the Woodward Dream Cruise. And I've been participating in candidate interviews and questionnaires, and expect that to continue through October. at which point we'll also be participating in the parade next weekend. Leah might talk about that more later. I'll be doing literature jobs in targeted neighborhoods and doing some online advertising, all of which will require some campaign contributions. And as I've been traveling across the state, the one constant I've been pushing is that if you want fair and transparent elections, you need to pick someone from outside the two-party system. Voters often ask me, do I think elections are rigged? Well, sort of. The Democrats and Republicans use the state constitution, election law, and campaign finance law to push the two-party system at the expense of independent and third-party candidates. Elections don't need to be rigged. The system is already rigged to their advantage. Most voters don't like the two-party system. They want more parties and more choices, but they don't know how we're here and how we need to get out of it. So, I've prepared a bit for you today called the top 10 ways Democrats and Republicans have created a two-party system. Number 10, independent candidates. Right now in Michigan, independent candidates require twice the number of signatures as Democrats and Republicans. Tell me that's not a conflict of interest. In fact, it's so hard to get on the ballot as an independent that no one qualified for a federal and state election this year in Michigan as an independent. In fact, independents weren't even allowed on the ballot in 1998 until 1988. And 4 years ago, the Supreme Court ruled that Adam Graveline for Attorney General had to be placed on the ballot and said that the requirements were too strict and the legislature was ordered to reduce them, and of course they have. Number 9, the next 3 things deal with the state constitution, but this also deals with independent candidates. The number 9 reason is straight ticket voting. Right now when you go vote, you have the first thing on the ballot is to vote for all your Democrats, all your Republicans, or all your Libertarians. I always tell Libertarians, don't vote straight party Libertarian because there are races that may not feature everyone from every race. But it particularly hurts independents because they have unequal access to the ballots. You can vote Democrat twice on the ballot, one by straight ticket and one individually, but independents do not have that luxury. In fact, 2018 was the only year there was no straight ticket on the ballot, and Libertarians had some of their best showings there because the voters picked the candidates individually rather than voting blanket by state party. Number 8, also in the state constitution, the board of canvassers, the people that run the elections that choose who gets on the ballot and who doesn't, is run by 2 Democrats and 2 Republicans. In fact, there are quite a number of boards in the state constitution that are specifically limited to 2 political parties. Number 7 is the Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission. These are the people that just released the new redistricting commissions, or the new districts, and they probably are a little bit better, but there are 4 Democrats, 4 Republicans, and 5 independents, meaning the major parties have a majority. In fact, they specifically limit it to 2 political parties, those with the highest number on the state legislature. So Libertarians can't participate. We can't be the top 2 in the state legislature, and because we are partisan, we are restricted, including my wife, who is married to a state party official, is not allowed on the Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission. So thank you, Shelley, for your sacrifice. Number 6, primary elections, both the regular primary elections and the presidential primary elections. These give Democrats and Republicans twice during the campaign season to get press coverage, and the taxpayers are footing their candidate selection process. The presidential primary is particularly insidious because the Democrats and Republicans supposedly fund that themselves, even though it's subsidized by the taxpayers, but they then get a list of everyone that voted in the Democrat and Republican primaries. Libertarians are offered no such opportunity to get a taxpayer-subsidized list of voters. But the primary election is also insidious in a couple reasons. So number 5, nonpartisan local elections. Right now, only cities are allowed to have nonpartisan elections under the Home Rule Act. Only Ypsilanti, Ionia, and Ann Arbor have chosen, unwisely in my opinion, to have partisan elections. All the other cities were like, hey, city elections shouldn't be partisan, we're gonna have nonpartisan elections. I want counties, and therefore villages and townships, to have that same right or power, I guess. Why should your village president, your township trustee be a Democrat or Republican? It just ties your local politics into a national political party, and it reinforces the 2-party system. So number 4, and this is actually the really insidious one, automatic county affiliates. The Democrat and Republican parties have basically written Michigan election law to their advantage in this most extreme way. Everyone that runs in the primary election for a state house or a county office, in the primary election, which are all Democrats and Republicans, are automatically on the county executive committee for that county, which means the Democrats and Republicans automatically have 83 county affiliates. Talk about subsidizing the two political parties. In fact, there's no separation of political party and state when it comes to Michigan election law. Number 3, state funding of the governor candidates. The Democrat and Republican winners of the primary are entitled to $1.125 million in funding for winning the primary. When you file your state income tax, there's a check mark that says, yeah, I'd like to donate to the governor campaign. I don't know how many people do, but enough do that this program continues. Why this is bad? This is a positive feedback loop. When you give money to the top 2 candidates, of course they're going to be better in the next election. This was particularly bad in 2018. It was the first time the Libertarians qualified for the primary. We had 2 governor candidates, Bill Jeleno and John Tater, both qualified for the primary. Both needed to get $15,000 or 15,000 signatures, which costs a lot of money. We didn't get money for winning, the Democrats and Republicans did. So I don't believe the state should subsidize the political parties. I don't think the government should give the Libertarians money. All right, the last 2 reasons are a little bit more esoteric, but they go to really the heart of the system. Number 2 is the first past the post system. Right now in Michigan, the winner of the election is whoever gets the most votes. You don't need a majority to win. There are no runoff elections. If you look at the primary results, some people won with 20-30% of the vote, which means most people wanted a different candidate to represent them. This is sometimes known as minority rule or first past the vote. The solution to this problem is ranked choice voting. Ranked choice voting is a system that is starting to get implemented across the country. Alaska and Maine use it. New York uses it. A bunch of cities do. East Point uses it. Ferndale voted for it, but for some reason the county has still not been able to get the technology correct. But Macomb County clearly did, so we need to talk to the Macomb County people who need to talk to the Oakland County people. Anyway, the way ranked choice voting works is when the multi-person race, rather than voting for one person, you rank who your candidates would be your first and second choice. If no one gets a majority, last person is dropped, those votes are redistributed, and that process continues until someone gets a majority. Some states do have runoff elections, like some southern states you often see, they'll have Senate runoffs like in December. So runoff elections are a thing, but instant runoff vote, also ranked choice voting would solve that. This gets rid of the wasted vote syndrome. Most people say, hey, I don't want to vote for Libertarians because that means the Democrat would win, or that might mean the Republican would win. With ranked choice voting, that argument goes away because if someone doesn't get a majority, then that argument goes away, and candidates are more likely to try to get a consensus rather than try to appeal to the extremes. The number 1 reason why we have a 2-party system in Michigan is single-member districts. Right now, our state Senate, our state House, and our U.S. Congress, we have 1 person per district. This is a system we got from the British. The British have 1 member of parliament per district, I suppose. Canada has 1 member of parliament per riding. We have 1 member of parliament for Congress, or 1 member of Congress per district. There's a thing called Duverger's law in political science. It says single-member districts inherently lead to a 2-party system. This also reinforces a wasted vote syndrome. So my solution, a lot of countries do something called proportional representation. We'll take Michigan Senate, for example. There are 38 state senators. So rather than voting for 1 person per district, there would be a statewide race for state Senate. You would vote for a political party. So you would vote for Libertarian. And so let's say we increase it from 38 to 40 because the math is easier, 2.5%. Right now, so any party that gets 2.5% for state Senate, they would get 1 state senator. And so right now, about 5% of people vote for Libertarians, knowing they're not going to get elected. But in a system of proportional representation, 5% would be 2 seats in the state senate. So I call what is called the Stempfle plan, and this is based on, Germany has something called mixed member proportional representation, where one house is by single member districts, and I would say the state house would say that, because people like having their own congressman. But then let's say the state senate, why do we need two branches? Why do we need two legislative branches? Nebraska got rid of them, they're unicameral. So use the other branch and elect them differently, use proportional representation. And so if people know that voting for Libertarian will actually get you representation, see right now elections are about winning and losing. I want elections to be about representation. So everyone should be represented. So if we have proportional representation, everyone will go into the ballot knowing at least their vote will count towards something. So those are, there are others, but those are some of these. So go out and people say, hey, why are we in a two-party system? How can we get out of it? Those are some of the ways. But one of the biggest arguments I think about why our elections are flawed are me, for example. This is the 13th time I've run for public office. I haven't even come in second place. I've always come in third place. So if someone as clever and smart and good looking and not a crackpot such as myself can't get elected to public office, then clearly our system is broken. Thank you all for coming out today. We have donation slips. More donations will help further our cause.